So before I get into the presentation, just a small brief about International Automobile Center of Excellence. This is a relatively new organization, and technically we are a over-glorified startup. Thanks to our partners, we are a joint venture between Government of Gujarat and Maruti Suzuki India Limited. Maruti Suzuki India Limited has participated in this joint venture in the capacity of industry leader, not as Maruti Suzuki as a brand itself. Hence, we are brand agnostic as an entity, and we are here to serve the purpose of community at large. And we represent auto industry, and specifically manufacturing and auto systems. We deal with a lot of technologies which are peeping into future. So we talked about a lot of cutting edge technology. There is very thin line of difference between cutting edge and bleeding edge technology. The key difference between cutting edge technology getting into a bleeding edge technology is the manpower itself. Like in defense, people say it's the man behind the cannon. It's the man behind every technology that you get introduced. Mr. Deshmukh talked about a lot of advanced technologies that manufacturers getting to use. Same technologies are getting into the vehicle dynamics, they are getting into IoT, they are getting into connected cars, you're getting into EV ecosystem, we want two-way communication. Mr. Narang talked about a lot of legislation that are coming into place. There is a lot of data security, cyber security, everything around us is getting changed. Only thing that is not changing is us. We feel pain, we feel temperature, AC is not working, we feel that there is AC not working, we are comfort level factors. There is a person who is trying to earn his livelihood. So every development that is running around us eventually has to impact lives of multiple millions of people. And we are a country which currently is hosts the youngest population in terms of dynamics in the world. And thankfully just overtaken China in terms of the total population globally. Hence, we are the only country who can contribute into building of the entire globe in coming times. When it comes to manufacturing, currently at 17%, we are expecting that to go to 25%. That too, when the economy is aiming at $5 trillion, so we are also expecting manufacturing itself as a pie to go up in terms of overall GDP representation. So this is a very standard slide. Everybody in the entire room would have heard about this slide. Man-machine methodology, material. So all the three, if you think closely, we are handling machines. There's a lot getting changed. There's a lot of automation coming in. The method of doing business, IoT is changing everything. We get everything in our handheld. Even in channel, we talked about after sales briefly when Mr. Narang mentioned. In after sales, after market, everywhere, everything is getting translated into handheld. Things can happen. Technology makes information transfer much more faster. Method, the way we were doing business earlier, we used to do everything by hand. There are machines to do it. You can do it much more faster. Productivity has increased many folds. However, it is a person. All the videos that I saw when I entered in, there were a lot of videos getting played of advanced technologies. But I could find no video where there is no human. So irrespective of whatever we do, we'll have a human element into it. Interestingly, we are sitting in a world, all the four revolutions in industries have taken almost a century. But the pace of change, the VUCA world that we call it, is much more faster, and every year is passing by, it's only exponentially increasing in terms of the pace. So this is what I was saying, the way machines were behaving, they have much more advancement that has come into place. Methodology has totally got changed with AI, MI, learning coming into place. There are a lot of assistant decision-making support systems have come into place. Material, we just talked about cell manufacturing, Mr. Narang was mentioning. The entire ecosystem, we're dealing at some point in time, it was लोहे की दुनिया थी. We're talking about iron as a core metal. Now we are talking about lithium. Who knew lithium 10 years back? I saw only sodium when I was doing an experiment in my chemistry lab in class 10th. जब एक सोडियम का एक क्यूब डालते थे हम पानी में and it was running. That's all I remember about sodium. And then somebody started saying salts. Salt मेरे लिए तो it was NaCl. So sodium in salt was something known to us, but sodium in battery is all that we know now. So that's how the world has changed in terms of material. So is a bigger question of manpower. We talked a lot about skilling, reskilling ecosystem that is required. We require huge uphilling tasks for reskilling, skilling, creating a pipeline of manpower. Just look at the skills these are traditional skills that we have. We were talking about a lot of CAD, CAM, material handling, machining, and these kind of skills that we talk about. In soft skill, we had a lot of teamwork. These were the traditional skills that we still talk about. In our team building exercise, yesterday I was in a HR conference that happened at our place. There are a lot of traditional skills that even now we emphasize on. They have not lost their relevance, neither they have lost their sheen. However, what has happened is there is a specific need of augmentation of the existing skills by new enhanced skills. For example, in a digital world, most of us use our mobile as our bank. Most of us use our mobile for any kind of logistic solution. We book our taxis on. There were days when we used to stand in line, we used to grab a ticket and then catch taxis when we were at airport. And now it's all got changed. I don't see any lines happening. We have got used to a new world already. The same thing needs to get translated. The everyday life cycle of an individual who is worker in an organization, in manufacturing, other setups, will have to embrace new technologies, new skills. Adaptability would become key change enabler for the entire ecosystem. Along with a lot of IT needs, IT skills, problem solving skills, decision making, AI enablement. Now let's look at the employability quotients. Also, why I'm showing employability quotients, we are a very large country with enormous amount of population. It is important that we have inclusivity of growth. We talk about gender equality, we talk about women participation, especially when we are talking about auto needs a huge amount of women participation. That is one core challenge in terms of demographic that we need to address. However, the core challenge lies is the employability. How do we make people who are currently not employable more inclusive? How do we make the economy much more inclusive? How do we make ourselves more responsive for creating more and more employment in the sectors which are currently not getting employed? So in the earlier slide, you have seen the employability quotient has definitely gone up. However, it has not caught up to the growth that we are witnessing currently. If you look at it in engineering, I'm just giving you some of the statistics. In engineering, the core field, we are talking about growth. No growth in India in terms of infrastructure can happen without civil and mechanical. However, the data says the employability quotient of civil and mechanical is the lowest. I have worked 2.5 years very closely with most of the academic institutions, and we represent a skill-based education ecosystem ourselves. I find many of the colleges opting out of lot of mechanical courses and starting IT-related courses, just to ensure that people are having more jobs when they complete their courses. So how do we contribute to a growing economic needs? So when you translate that to other courses, you would find that there is certainly a gap in terms of employability in, let's say, branches like pure sciences, BSc. The core of skilling or the base of skilling at the bottom of the pyramid is ITI. The employability quotient at ITI ecosystem is also very poor. They form the major workforce that we have in the entire India. And when you interact with these people, you would find that many of the people who have joined the workforce, they had basic requirements at their home. They had mouths to feed. Hence, they took up the employment immediately as soon as as soon as and fast as they can get hold of it. But later, at some stage of their life, if they want to grow in their career, they have very limited opportunities to do so. Hence, a reverse circle wherein people would not opt for ITI. Hence, there is an immediate requirement to handle that segment. So, how do we do that? A simple solution that lies within our reach is to blend the traditional and skill ecosystems. So the new education policy emphasizes a lot about skill-based education. So I don't know how many of you would be aware, there is an overarching body to NCVT and NSDC, which is called NCVET, which has recently been commissioned along with the Ministry of Skills, which is to give due recognition to the skill ecosystem in India. When you benchmark our skill ecosystem to what exists in global standards, most of the global economies are driven by work experience rather than degrees. Degrees were a formulation of or a culmination towards job ecosystem at some point of time, which are no more relevant now. Hence a requirement of a blended programs. Just to give you an overview of meta framework that currently exists, and this is in the interest of the entire ecosystem that is present today. Manufacturing related ecosystem, service industry. So what has happened is there are 3 pillars of education now, which were there. It's not that it's now just that a meta framework has come into place. So we would all know UGC, University Grant Commission, which gives accreditation to all universities in India. There is a body called IACE, which gives you all technical education, diplomas, and engineering education falls under that gambit. And now we have NCVT, which is a parallel ecosystem in vocational training. So what has happened now is all the 3 verticals have blended in each other. Hence, what we find as an entry level even in the engineering is a lack of job readiness on day 0. Hence we created coins like graduate engineering program. I know organizations who have run graduate engineering programs for 3 years. If you look at a productivity loss of a graduate engineer being not productive for 3 years, I'm assuming that graduate engineer trainee, by the name trainee, is not contributing as good as a person who should be. So if he had been contributing from day 0, he would have been productive from day 1. Now we have a framework that exists wherein a person from a traditional education background can venture into vocational trade, acquire certain trades. There are multiple levels. For example, if you look at the top end, a doctoral degree, PhD equivalence is level 8. And this level 8 equivalence also exists in vocational as well as technical trades. There are direct degree programs, direct PhD programs which IITs are offering, which are specifically hinted towards research and development. Like Mr. Naram was saying, there is a need for batteries, cell manufacturing. There can be research that can result in that. And when we talk about reskilling, there is a lot of reskilling that can be done in the formal framework where credits can be allocated, and this can create a pathway for the entire change management process that can happen for the organizations that are currently traditional and moving towards the new era. In addition to that, one more key challenge that we foresee in coming times is as a government ecosystem, government is working towards global mobility. We all here know India has a very great advantage in terms of manpower costs. So the production cost in terms of the manpower remuneration is currently low. However, the entire game changes as soon as the mobility is provided at the entry level. So if the entry level has a offshoot into international markets where the payment remunerations are 10 times of that, with forums like G20 and other forums, it is expected that the mobility ecosystem will go up. It will be international in nature, leading to much more scarce manpower resources in India. Hence, it is of paramount importance to start addressing the skill ecosystem in the respective organization so that they are immune to the changes that are happening. So I'll last leave you at the thought, now that we have a problem in front, the solution must be easy. So I strongly recommend a skill-based education program approach in all the organizations so that there can be constant inclusive growth to the ecosystem. Thank you.